Anybody want to talk about some stuff today? I got a little while. I'm in the rain. Let me go back and get a nap. See if we can turn on a windshield wiper maybe. There's Super Ego. I got a friend, that's his favorite trucking company ever. You know, I'm at a Love's in the Carolinas somewhere. Some of you guys may be able to tell us where. That's if anybody decides to come in. We'll talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. Whoever comes in and makes a comment, otherwise I'm going to sit here and rattle off and then I'm going to turn it off and go to bed. But supposedly there's some kind of storm that blowed in out there, and this is the outer bands of it. I'm hoping the weather won't get no worse today. Well, tonight. I'll be running tonight. They got a nice shop. I don't know if they're any good, but they got a really nice shop here. Speaking of which, I did have some drama today. I did. The dang wheel seal, cap seal on my drive started leaking. All the bolts was loose. So I took my tools that I had in stock on the truck and I got it as tight as I can. Looks like it quit leaking, but we'll have to see. We'll run an hour or so and then we'll see if it holds or not. I'm gonna see what's on the radio while we're sitting here. What do y'all think? Think something good on the radio today? Hit the scan, but commercials on that one.
Presented by attorney Gary Martin Hayes. 1-800 and use promo code RADIO for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code
I ain't got no comments yet, so we need a topic. I mean, there's tons of topics out there. There's shootings, and there's comets, and there's raptures, and there's... That's a pretty good tune. Can y'all hear that? Did it mess up the volume with me? Or am I too loud? Do I need to talk a little softer? This is trucker life. You know, we had a good day. We got delivered early this morning at the Michelin plant. We got delivered, I got there at 6. They had me unloaded by 9. And after I got unloaded, I already had a load picked. It wasn't the best paying load, but it got me moving. And only had like 2 hours left. And keeping you moving every day is how you make that weekly revenue. So I picked this load on Friday. It's an Uber. Hey, and the next one's Uber, believe it or not. Was the longest I've been stuck in traffic? Well, there was an ice storm years back down in Baton Rouge area, and I was on 190 because everything else was closed. We were able to move on 190 for a little while, but by the time I got on the longer bridge over there on 190 west of Baton Rouge, they shut it down, and we had to wait on the sun to come up. I think that one was about 5 hours waiting on the sun to come up and melt things, because you know that's just the way it is. You got to wait on the sun down south. But yeah, I got that Uber load last week, and it picked up 40 miles from where I delivered, and I drove 9 hours to get my delivery off this morning. So that split sleeper berth really came in handy in order to get that next load, because I knew that they was going to take their time. getting me unloaded. I figured that much. Legally, it's supposed to count towards your drive time. At the very least, it counts towards your own duty time. But I know there's a lot of guys that will slide in the off duty or sleeper berth while they're doing that kind of thing to save that hours. I'm sure they are. I don't remember what I did that particular day, but I wasn't in need of a lot of hours during that job. That job, I was going to be home no matter what, just about. But yeah, we got reloaded. I got some kind of metal crates. Logan and Brandon, I appreciate y'all coming in here and making some comments. Now we got to find us another radio.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of the #1 selling bacon cheeseburger in all fast food, the JBC.
I appreciate it, Mr. Brandon. Welcome aboard. We'll be sitting here until about midnight or so, and then we'll roll out again. Y'all be careful out there, because there's been a whole lot of random shootings and stuff. I don't know what this is. Let's see what this is. Yeah, I managed to get almost 700 miles today. Well, on this drive, and it was actually over the course of 2 days. Hey, Rebecca from Lima, Ohio. How you doing today? Right now, I'm in South Carolina. This is the outer bands of this storm that's coming through. I come back west as far as I could. Once I got unloaded over there in Anderson, South Carolina, I ran over to Greenville, picked up this load, and I came all the way back west as far as I could before I ran out of time. Kansas City, Brandon, I bet you was happy with the football game if you keep up with that kind of thing. I love me some Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the best quarterbacks today. I mean, I was from the age of John Elway's and Dan Marino's, but Mahomes is in the class all his own now, in my opinion. But, you know, I don't study football every week. I enjoy to watch a good game. Like, I'm a Razorback. College football, I love Arkansas Razorback. Always have. Even though we're losing, we just fired another coach. We had a guy got 2 bones broken in his leg this last week after they lost. It was a crazy game. As long as you keep paying off the rest. Well, you know, you got to make sure Vegas is paid off too, right? My dad still don't watch pro football. He's like, it's all rigged. You can't tell him no different either. Oh, but hey, even if it's rigged, we don't know how it's going to turn out when we start watching it. We didn't rig it. It's still fun to watch to me. Well, Rebecca, there's a few things that I've seen that are too gory to put out here over the airwaves. So let me rack my brain about something that won't be so gory. All right, here's one. I was down in Louisiana, and there was a intersection. Looking straight up, there was a gas truck coming towards me, and there was a little lady over here in this lane, and she decided all of a sudden to pull out in front of that gas truck, and he's hooking it. So if he would have hit her, they would have hit me, and there wasn't nothing I could have done about it. I would have been sitting there in flames, and it wouldn't have been no fault of my own, and there wasn't nowhere I could go at the time, because I'm in a turning lane. There's people coming on this right side, like zoom, 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 and I was just there. And that night still sticks in my head. tornadoes. I'm hoping we don't have no whirly twirlies tonight, but hey, I'm a Christian, so as a Christian, to die is to gain, right? I don't know if this thing has spun off any tornadoes or not. I know it's supposed to go back out to sea. Good deal, Logan. I bet you keep up with all these current events and you're like, man, things are getting bad. And everybody's wanting to say the end is near and such.
All you have to do is send your letter to Tennessee, Colorado Springs.
Well, that's not, I mean, here's another instance. I'm on 98, Highway 98. It's a 4-lane highway. It's pitch black, middle of the night, right? Hey, Carter. Welcome back, man. I've been missing you on Sundays. It's pitch black on 98, and something tells me I'm hooking that night. I'm like 70, 75 in a 65. I'm going out through there ready to get home. And something told me in my spirit to slow down. And I did. I brought it back down. I got it down to 60. And I topped this hill, and this pitch black, right? My headlights shine on about 20 big old black cows. If I'd have been going faster, I'd have never got stopped in time before I got involved with that big old herd of cows. And there again, it's one of those things that it's a freak accident, right? But I've had things like that happen before. You know, sometimes you get that internal feeling, that voice, that something that tells you to slow down, stop, or don't go in there. You listen to that voice. And sometimes it may not be right on, but a lot of times it's right on the money, and it could save your life. Sometimes things are not explainable, you know. But yeah, you can be doing everything right out here, you know. And I'll go ahead and throw this out here. As a trucker, we're subject to a whole lot of regulations, and you got to keep your equipment right. You got to have the physical card. You got to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, right? Well, right now in the trucking industry, our government has allowed a lot of people to come into the industry that should have never been in the industry. Not no fault of their own. You can't fault somebody for trying to make a better living. Maybe a tornado is just a sign of the turmoil in your life, Logan. What have you got going in there that's got you so busy and so anxious? Whatever it is, you got to find a way to get that out of there, man. You got to be able to chill out, find a quiet spot. If that driver was properly educated and he had put in the work that we all have, there are plenty of signs that tell you when you can and cannot do U-turns. Matter of fact, some of the companies out here will fire you for doing U-turns. It's sad. I can't fault people for trying to do better, but these are 80,000 pound missiles going down the highway, you know? There are a few occasions where we don't have a choice, but if it's an illegal turn, you got to go further down the road, find somewhere safe to turn around and come back. That's the way a professional is supposed to do it. But you have a lot of unprofessional people out here now. Well, at least they were able to stop. I mean, I've seen them do some crazy stuff out here. They had one a while back, a Swift truck. He was going down the wrong way on the interstate in a major city. Maybe if you lay off caffeine, and find a quiet place, it might help. But yeah, life can feel like a tornado a lot. I mean, it really can. I know. Whenever I had 3 trucks, 4 trailers, and 4 drivers, I had so much going on. I did not like the person I was becoming with our business. Well, there's so many apps now, Insomniac. Thanks for joining us. It's pretty easy to avoid low bridges. The worst part about the East Coast to me is trying to find somewhere to park. Just like this little truck stop here. Love's is ridiculous. Love's is like the trucker's Dollar General, right? Except it's expensive. You have to get at a Love's before 4 o'clock in the evening just about to find parking. You may get lucky and somebody may pull out. But for the most part, you got to get in there early and find somewhere to park. And as a trucker, we have to find new places to park all the time, you know. And I like to park at shippers and receivers, but now due to insurance and, you know, people leaving messes and such, a lot of shippers and receivers won't allow truckers to park on the property. And that saves so much time when you can park on the property of a shipper and receiver, man. With us having to run electronic logs, any way we can save time saves us some money. And things have been so tight, we've had to save a lot of time. You know, electronic logbooks, they have their good points, but they definitely have their bad points. I see a lot more people now racing through truck stops. Like, all these guys are going pretty slow, but I have had a bunch that have, they just come racing in there because their clock's ticking. And some of these companies won't let them use yard movement. Some of these companies won't let them use personal conveyance. Or split sleeper. Split sleeper allows me to make a lot of the loads that I run. And I know some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but those are some of the time regulations that us as big trucks have to obey. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of crooked companies and there's a lot of crooked people in this industry. And if y'all hear what's going on in the media, it's just the government finally cracking down on the rougher sides of trucking, trying to make it safer, because our families are out here on these highways and they depend on these trucks to be safe and these drivers to be safe. Accidents will happen. There, like I said, there are some situations that is just totally unavoidable. You can be sitting there and people crash in front of you and crash into you. And there was a driver a while back. He was coming through Monroe, Louisiana, and a motorcycle went under his trailer coming off of a ramp. No fault of his own, but a man died under his truck while he was just going straight down the interstate through Monroe. Oh man, Insomniac, they're mostly automatic now. All the new stuff, they're coming out automatics. I mean, it's like driving a Prius almost. Just a really big Prius when you get them automatics. I prefer a standard. Mine is a stick shift. Would you like to see my stick shift? There it is. There's the shift pattern. It's only a 10-speed. Yep, it's got a clutch. I prefer a clutch. It's got a lot more power than those automatics did. I can get on down the road with this one. Now this one does need a clutch brake, so I do have to put it in the shop before long. But see, that's one thing they don't tell you, Logan, when you get to driving a truck. They don't tell you about the things that you see that you can't unsee. I have come up on many wrecks. I have pulled people out of wrecks. There was a guy over in Georgia that had rolled his little UPS truck over on its side because another big truck had pulled out in front of him. And I jumped out and I went and I cut him out of the seatbelt because he was hanging from the seatbelt. As soon as I get him cut loose and down on the ground, he starts hollering, get out, I'm hauling gunpowder. Oh, I understand the reason why he didn't tell me before we started cutting him out. I might have panicked and ran, but I wouldn't have, but he didn't know that, right? I'd have still got him out, even if it had been on fire. I'm not going to sit there if I can help it and watch somebody burn. That would be, very unchristian thing to do. But there's been many occasions when I've come up on the wreck before the cops even got there. We had a guy a while back in Fernwood, Mississippi. He hit a big old piece of rubber off a blown out tire going northbound. His little truck went through the cable fence, through the median, crossed over into my lane, threw him out of the truck in the woods, leaving his truck on its side. So I witnessed, I saw it all. I witnessed it. I pulled over, got out, ran to check on him, and he's laying there on his stomach, breathing fast. But he wasn't in no immediate danger. He wasn't hurting. He was breathing. And me and the other bystanders was like, we best not move him because if something bad could be wrong, we need to let the paramedics move him, So we got the paramedics down there and they loaded him up. I never did find out how he fared from that. Nobody ever told me if he lived or died or nothing like that. That was really close to my home. Matter of fact, my wife and youngin was headed to town up Interstate 55 while I was coming south on Interstate 55 there at Fernwood. And they saw my truck on the side of the road. They didn't know what was going on. I had to call them real quick and say, it's okay, I'm okay. And they went on to town and I went on home. But yeah, when you're out here on these roads, you got to be at your best at all times. This is why the government pushes so hard about these cell phones. If you're messing around with that cell phone, you're not watching down the road. So you don't only watch right here when you're driving. You got to have an eye going up there too. You got to be watching way ahead of you to see what's going on. Because they could be somebody or an obstacle or something up there that you don't realize. If you get to watching here all the time and not paying attention up there, next thing you know, you're going to have to slam on brakes. And you could cause a major accident. No, his body had took over breathing for him. That's why he was on the ground laying face down. His face was to the side, so he wasn't suffocating, but his body from the trauma had him breathing really, really fast. But me and the other bystanders thought it was best to leave him alone until the paramedics came. I don't know what actually caused him to crash. I believe it was the big piece of rubber in the road. He hit it and it spun his little truck around because it wasn't a heavy truck. It was a little small pickup truck. That's not the only time I've seen that big rubber off an 18-wheeler tire cause somebody to spin out. One night in the middle of the night, I was coming through Weston, Mississippi. And way up yonder, there was a little car. It was going, and he hit that rubber and spun around like 3 or 4 times, but then he kept going. He was able to save it. I was like, ooh. When I got up there, I saw the old tire. I said, that had to be what caused him to lose control. It's starting to wind down a little bit. Yeah, I can't really zoom in up there. I wish I didn't have to have them wipers going. I'm going to turn them off for a minute, see if that'll help. We'll turn them back on if we need them. But I hear more foreigners in the Loves than I do in most of the other truck stops. Because Loves, they will give credit to just about any trucking company. And they give you an opportunity to mess it up, and if you mess it up, they won't sell you fuel anymore. But they're really big into the fuel business. Oh, I've never heard of any insomniac. I mean, I wouldn't go to a therapist. There's probably stuff going up in my head they wouldn't let me back out on the road. Just joking. But no, I've never heard of anybody providing therapy for things like that. And I've seen way worse in my regular life, but yeah, I've been trucking 27 years. I remember this company right here, Werner, when they used to have very, very cool Peterbilts, and they actually were one of the first ones to start electronic logbooks. They had to go logbooks because their company got in so much trouble. Now, this is all hearsay through the years. They got in trouble, and the judges were kind of pushing them to go electronic logs. Which, like I say, electronic logs are good and bad. They're bad because it causes people to race the clock. But these big mega companies, they put governors on trucks where they can't go 65, and then they're logging them so they can't race the clock out on the road so much. But they do. Now, they do race the clock in construction zones and in cities. But that's where the police come in, and the police should be monitoring. I had a guy in the construction zone north of Birmingham. He passed in the left in a semi-truck, hauling it. And how he didn't take out my mirror, I don't remember, did I call that company or not? I may have called that company because it was so ridiculous. I mean, he was in the wrong lane. He was super flying through a construction zone, and he light that took out my mirror. I got highly annoyed that night. Well, they have to race the clock a lot of times to find somewhere to park, or to get to the next load, or to get into their terminal to shut down, because you have 11 hours driving and you have 14 hours on duty. And if you go over that, a lot of these companies will write you up and cause you some trauma. And if you get caught enough time, you'll get fired. Not to mention, if the DOT catches you, got CSA points that go on your license. And after so many, you become unhireable. And after so many, the trucking company itself will be unhireable to brokers and shippers. It gets to be kind of crazy sometimes. It does. But at least the best thing about the electronic logs is you can't run 2 logbooks. That means that you can't be up for 24 hours straight running loads, and if you are, you're going to get busted. Oh, so you wouldn't believe some of the pressures out here, you know. I had my own company. I had 3 trucks, 4 trailers, and 4 drivers. We were running furniture a lot, and then we had one that would run OTR. But the amount of paperwork, don't ever let somebody tell you to come into trucking and it's going to be easy and it's going to be easy money, because it's not. You got tons of legal stuff to do with the DOT, FMCSA, and then if you get into paying drivers, you got the employment people, you know, withholding the taxes, and not to mention trying to keep the equipment up, because you got inspections that have to be done every year, but you need to do them every quarter to make sure the equipment will pass any DOT inspection. And if it don't pass DOT inspection, you have CSA points that go against your company and your drivers, and it can give you gray hair. I lost my company because I did everything I could. I made a couple of decisions I wish I could take back, but the rates on the open market went down and fuel went up. I'm not going to break out the whiteboard and show you the math about how that affected our business, but let's just say $1,500 to $2,000 a week we were losing because of the rates dropping and the fuel going up. And the bad thing is, I had just found a really good company for my insurance, and they dropped my insurance cost down to a quarter of what it was. But just driving the truck as a driver, there's tons of stress between the logbooks, the DOT, the company riding your back, brokers and shippers calling you while you're trying to sleep. It's a job. It's a lot more than just waiting around for a job, you know, waiting around for a load and getting a load and just driving. It's way more than that. And it needs to be. I mean, this industry has been built over what, 200 years? Over 100, let's say 100 years when they really started doing some transportation. But all the way back to horse and buggy days. I mean, this industry has been built slowly and designed slowly, and there's been regulations put in place and laws put in place in order to keep people safe, in order to get the material shipped. I mean, you could probably go all the way back to the old days of the old ships, the old merchant ships. They would be gone for months and months at a time, taking merchandise from one city to another over the ocean and over the rivers. And then we had wagon trains, and then now we got trucks and rail. And all these systems have been built over a long period of time. They don't always get it right. But if you look back at the logistics of America, ever since Eisenhower designed our interstate system, it's a very humbling experience, to say the least. To know how our materials for our buildings get shipped, how your donuts and the material to make your donuts get from one place to another. Chicken. You think I'm kidding? The transportation system for chicken. We've got chicken plants over there around where I live. You have the feed trucks, you have the live haul trucks, you have the bitty trucks, and then you have the refrigerated trucks after processing. It's a large industry, and it's interesting to go and look at how your food comes from farm to table. How much it costs and why we have to have such big trucks and trailers, because it cuts on the cost of shipping. But hey, that probably would bore most of y'all, but I am probably going to go to bed because I've been sleeping for a while today. I'm going to go to bed because I'm going to be sleeping until around midnight, because pay goes in tonight at midnight, and that means I don't need to fuel until after midnight. That way it won't come out of this week's paycheck. Hey Logan, I appreciate it, Insomniac. I appreciate y'all having here, man. I'll try to be back on some during the week, but I'm always out here on Sunday morning. Rebecca and Carter, I don't know. You came in and jumped out, man. Brandon, hey, I appreciate y'all joining us. I'm going to get out here and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye.